We've been discussing the situation in Northeast Syria throughout the week. While a ceasefire is technically in place, the situation remains volatile and the ceasefire is really not holding. Joining us now from the ground in Northeast Syria is Freelance War Correspondent Chuck Holton, who has been monitoring the situation firsthand. Chuck, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tony. I would have done this outside, but it's about 20 degrees out there, so I thought that discretion would be the better part of valor at this point.
Hey, I want you to stay warm, my friend. So let's start with the status of the situation. What's happening there on the ground as it pertains to the Kurds, the Christians, the other religious minorities that are in that region?
Well, Tony, so as you know, the Kurds have been administering the eastern third of Syria for more than 10 years, and they've done a very good job at it. They have had various disparate religions and ethnicities all living together in peace. They've done a great job at maintaining the law and city services and all that sort of thing. But al-Jilani's forces have been pushing into that area that the Kurds call Rojava with the intent of taking it over and making it submit to the new administration in Damascus. The Kurds are not willing to submit to the new administration in Damascus because they say that al-Jilani is essentially the Islamic State. He's a kinder, gentler version of the United States, of the Islamic State, perhaps, but he's the Islamic State nonetheless, at least too extreme for them. And keep in mind, most of the Kurds are Sunni Muslims, just like that. So is ISIS, but it's a whole different thing to them. And then you add in the Christians that are here, the Armenian Christians, the Syriac Christians, Chaldean Christians that are in this region, the Yazidis, the Druze, all the different groups that are here, and none of them want to live under Sharia law. So while Ahmed al-Sharaa has been putting this very westernized, civilized face toward the West, and sort of wooing all these world leaders that way, in the areas that are under his control, they are instituting Sharia law. They're forcing women to wear burqas. They're making them ride in the back of the bus, all that kind of thing. Kurdish women don't wear burqas, and they're not about to. That's not a thing for them. So what that's created, Tony, is a real humanitarian crisis, because as al-Jilani's forces, who have a lot of military hardware that they got from the previous administration, are pushing into these areas with tanks and things like that the Kurds just can't counter. So the Kurds are having to pull back and pull back and pull back. So the area that al-Sharaa has taken over represents about 2/3 of the area the Kurds controlled. And that means all of the Kurds are now sort of concentrated into these two little areas, one in the far northeast and then one around the city of Kobani. And they are preparing to defend this area with their lives. They've armed everybody to the teeth. Everybody's walking around with weapons. And as you mentioned, there is supposed to be a ceasefire right now, but last night there was shelling in Tel Tamer, not too far to the west of here. And so there really has not been a ceasefire, even though one was declared.
Now, when we talk about the Kurds, they have been like the American allies. They helped us in the fight against ISIS, but they've also been the protective force for the Christians and the other religious minorities in that region. And I've talked about this many times. The northeast region of Syria has become like the only place outside of Israel where you really see religious freedom taking place in the Middle East.
Yes, that's very true. And on top of that, the Kurds lost more than 12,000 people fighting the Islamic State with the backing of the United States. And they just were abandoned by the U.S. this last week when Tom Barak, the ambassador to Turkey, told them, we're going to start supporting al-Sharaa and his troops, so we don't really need you anymore. And the Kurds are just bewildered at that. They are so hurt. They feel so betrayed. And they're saying, no, we can never trust America again. So the United States still needs the Kurds because we still have a large air base in Erbil in northern Iraq. That's Iraqi Kurdistan. And we definitely need that to project power in this region. But we are not treating the Kurds with the respect that they deserve at all. And this is not the first time we've done that on to them. So
you mentioned Tom Brock, the ambassador to Turkey, the U.S. ambassador to Turkey. What I've seen him say and do, it appears that he is advocating more for the interest of Turkey than that of the United States.
yes, there's a lot of claims to that effect, and even claims that he's receiving his talking points through al-Sharaz group in Turkish language. So there was a kind of a scandal in this local news here where they were showing screenshots of messaging from Turkey to al-Sharaz saying, tell Tom Barak to say this and this and this. And so it does sound like he is being directed by Turkey, and that obviously is not going to go well for the Kurds.
Very quickly, we got about a minute and a half left. What evidence do you see of Turkish involvement there in the Northeast region?
Well, they have a ton of troops in the northern part of Syria, and they have for some time, and they're adding more to that all the time. But also, they are supporting al-Sharaz troops as they're fighting against the Kurds with drones. And so the Kurds have had to contend with drone strikes from Turkish Bayraktar drones flying overhead. Well, I passed a hospital yesterday that was hit with a Turkish drone just a week ago.
So Chuck, what does the United States need to do, number one, and number two, how do Christians here in the United States need to be praying right now?
Well, Christians need to be praying that our government will do a 180 and start to live up to the commitments that we made to the Kurds. And that's really the most important thing. You know, we might be able to attain peace by abandoning our allies, but it's not a just peace. And so I think we need to pray for that and pray that our government will see the light and respond to the pressure that's being put on them by the likes of Lindsey Graham and people like that to actually support the Kurds. And they are our only real friends in this region, just like the Israelis.
Chuck Holton will also be praying for your safety as you make your way out of Northeast Syria at some point. Thanks so much for joining us.